I don't have all the history on the eagle or the mascot, so I don't want anyone to take this as being historical history. But what I do know, the mentality was that the eagle is a keen eye. Also is that the eagle flies high. The eagle, one that can overcome all obstacles. And the mascot was selected for Conetoe High School being the eagle, that our principal wanted each child to take on the mentality of an eagle, that they might be able to fly high, they might have keen eyes, keen mind, that they might be able to survive in the society that we're in.
It was the eagle's view that was soared along before me. And as they soared, they planted a good seed. They dropped some good droppers around, because we had the opportunity to throw those things up. And the eagle is still soared, and the eagle is still flying high.
The high school is a school where everybody knew everybody. Everybody was somebody else's child. We didn't worry about a whole lot of violence and gangs and stuff like that. So everybody was friends. But the high school will always be in our hearts, and that's why we have this reunion today, so we can get a chance to see everybody. This is a combined class from the first class to the teacher class like this.
Mental reunion. Take time out. Support your reunion. It don't make no difference where you're in life, who your pastor is, who your whatever is. God have a way for us to come together.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I saw
Most people don't realize about Conetoe and how it started is probably the fact that it was the first high school in the northern section of the county. Years ago, all of the schools were 1, 2, 3 classroom schools. And at that time, they were all over the county. They were in neighborhoods within walking distance of students. And there were no buses. So, of course, there was no high school except for Patilla. And on our side of the county, I'm really not familiar with the southern part of the county.
Before prior to 1948-49 was a white high school, and of course when the students going from that school, Conetoe School, then were going to Southwest over near Pine Top, and when they left, they just left things in shambles, tore up bathrooms and blackboards, just everything that's not nailed to the wall. And sometimes I think things that were nailed to the wall, they were just torn up, and just all kinds, just like a hurricane or something had been through the school by the time we got there. Windows were out, and everything just had to be fixed up. And this was 1950, so 48 rather, so we had to remember when it was and what the mood of our country was in those days. And
I can remember the ambulance and you probably heard that before. It's driven by, one of them was driven by, I believe, Asbury Bachelor, it's Reverend Bachelor now. The other one by Mr. Knight. And so at that time there was no need for a school that was far away because there was no way to transport them. I can remember my cousin went to high school in up in Bertie County, I believe, and my dad went to high school in Husky because there was just no high school for blacks in the area. So as we got around 1948, 49, 50, busing became available, and so I think with that concept, that was the inception of Conetoe High School. First graduating class graduated in 1949.
Well, we were the first black student that went there that came out of that school that year. The first year it was for white, and then we was went there in 49. We were the first to graduate in 49. It was a nice school, had nice teachers and everything. On the last day that we was there, we had to go up on the stage and talk, and they said it was saving the last for the best for me, and I got up and talked, and I made it short, and all the girls ran up on the stage and grabbed me and hugged me, and we cried together, and then we came down and went out.
We were in the second graduating class, in 1948-49 year, the first class, and we started there during the second year, 49 and 50. Bus driver was me. My route was 55 miles in the morning, of course, and 55 miles driving in the afternoon, and we were driving bus, and we were getting paid $1 per day, and that was middle of the month. $20 was a whole lot of money back in those days.
I was a bus driver there, drove bus 64. I think I probably had one of the longest routes. I drove from Halifax County line all the way up to Conetoe. For a big paycheck. When I first started, it was about $18. We ended up with $25. And it was a rough run, but you know, that's what happened with age. The Lord brought us through this, and we look back now and smile over it, and smile about it, and hopefully we can help somebody with our knowledge and wisdom that we accomplished during those times.
I graduated in 1955. Most people don't know it, but I also graduated from elementary school at Conetoe in 1951. In 1947, which most people do not know, that actually Conetoe started before 48, because I got a blue ribbon for taking a livestock cow over to Rocky Mountain. I got a blue ribbon, and it from Conetoe in 1947. I finished my elementary school at Conetoe High, because at that particular time it was a changeover, and they was closing down all of the 2- and 3-room schoolhouses.
Around about 1952 was when I started at Conetoe, and that was in the 8th grade. And from then on, the school began to grow. At first, minimal sports, mostly playground sports, and then as time went on, basketball became probably the first sport at Conetoe, and the only sport. There was no football for county students at that time, not in our section of the county anyway. And the reason being is because most of the boys were not in school early in the fall. They were out working on the farm. That was the law of the land at that time. Crops had to be taken in, and that was done between August and November.
The back did everything, and during that time when you were pretty good in school, you get your homework done, you got rewarded by going out and helping Mr. Bax clean up the wooded area around Conetoe. And that was one of my chores as well. During that time at Conetoe, in order to get the band, Jane may remember this, but in order to get the band organized, we had to go around. I would take my father's truck and we'll go around to the various sharecroppers and we'll gather up corn, tobacco, and things of that nature and combine all of that, and then Mr. Bax would take it to the market and sell it to get money for the various things.
Yes, and of course that was before my time, but by this being my brother and my brother William Earl, I do recall them not only doing this, but Mr. Bax being the type of person who would take the back seat out of his automobile and he would let the guys drive around picking up this tobacco so that they could sell it. And Conetoe High School band moved from with marching in their black and white to purchasing uniforms and being competitive with any other high school in the area.
We used to sit right there behind those two trailers, and this path that comes out here, I used to really enjoy it. When Mr. Clement used to come out there with the band used to come down this path here, and they went down this road and crossed the railroad track. Then it was dirt. It was a dirt road. They used to go down there practicing. So whenever they was in the contests and the thing that he entered in, they would know the right way to march. He would teach them how to march and how to play the instruments and things. So when they went in those contests and win, he also had a choir, which we called the glee club then. The glee club and the band used to enter in contests, and we would always end up first place.
The school, it was very important that parents had input, and they readily accepted that input because the faculty, the principal, made it so easy for them to do. They were not thought of as just parents with students attending the school. They were actually a part of the school. So much so that night classes were held for parents who wanted to upgrade their reading skills. I remember remedial reading classes, all sorts of home economics and farming things done. And this was all to help the community, for the good of the community. So the school wasn't there just to serve students. It was there to serve the whole family.
Because there's a lot of things that went on as a community, and our parents were the greatest asset. You know, they went to a PTA meeting.
Right.
You know, and they were concerned about their children and stuff. And when it comes to sports and what have you, that was the opportunity for all the kids to go someplace they'd never been. You know, because everybody, you know, if you go 5 miles from home, man, you've really been somewhere, you know. And most of these kids really learned more from that. And then in summertime, they went to summer camp down at Wilmington for a whole week, you know, and then we never did that before. And that was exciting, you know. And then we had the great the May Day parade, and we parade down Tarboro, Main Street to the ballpark. And then we had a little function in the ballpark. And that was exciting. It was educational. And when we had the tournament at the school, Mr. Better saw to it that we had it at Conetoe. And we had it from Wednesday at 1 o'clock until Saturday night at 1 o'clock. And we never, this was exciting. This was a brand new thing.
Very exciting.
You know?
Yes.
We got a thrill out of that.
Right. Show you how the school prepared us. I was in Washington, D.C., and a person walked up to me and said, you know, I saw an article in the paper about this guy who was a black brigadier general, went to a school in North Carolina, and I think I heard you mention the school Conetoe. And I said, yes, that was my high school. And I said, that was my classmate, Vonnegut D. Loach. So it goes to show you that even though we may have gone to a small school, this school produced some very great people and Vonnery Deloach has been one, and a number of other ones, names that I may not call, but there are others who know who they are. So we feel very proud being from Conetoe High School, and we feel that we are very prepared, very well prepared, that we can compete with anybody in this country or anywhere else.
I'm Cynthia Knight. I only went my 7th grade year, and I'm kind of disappointed I didn't get the opportunity to graduate from Conetoe High School.
I'm Mary Walton Knight, and I went up until the 11th grade. And that year we planned to move. It was like our whole lives had ended because I did not want to change the school, and because I enjoyed Conetoe so very much.
I'm Hilda Higgs Morris, class of 1974, North Edgecombe High School. I went to Conetoe High School in my 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. In 1971, that's when Conetoe High School closed. And when the classmates and the underclassmates found out that Conetoe High School was closing, it was sad because we knew we were going to 3 different schools. We were going to North Edgecombe, South, and Tarboro High School. But we hung in there, and we remember what the people at Robinson School and Conetoe had told us, that wherever you are, what situation you're in, to do your best. And we survived.
We're the last class to graduate from that school.
Like going to, matter of fact, it was in the newspaper, the Tarboro paper as well, the death of Eric Garrett. Samuel Knight was there, Samuel Knight, Uncle James, myself, and I think Faustina and her sister. But anyway, standing up watching it being knocked down with the equipment of standing over the grave of the loved one and watching that body being committed to the ground. Knowing you were sitting there for the last time.
That ground there, which is a man from Rocky Mount. Well, when he came down to finish tearing down everything, something odd happened that day because I told the man that I wanted to video him, demolitioning that area. So I borrowed a video camera, and I was out there early that morning about 7:45 a.m. when the demolition team came in from Enfield. And I videoed the entirety of that man demolishing the school grounds and the old part of the gym all day long, standing there with tears. And then we had some white graduates that come up, and they were in tears, and everybody was just so heartbroken, that particular thing was going on that day. So then they wanted to know who I was. So I told them that I was a graduate too, and this ground was very sentimental to me. So the owner of the property that day, he told me, said, when you complete this video, he said, whatever price you put on this video, he said, I want to purchase it. But lo and behold, I guess God didn't want it to be that way because the video did not come out. I filmed the entire time that day until about 4:30 that afternoon when the demolition team decided to leave. But that video did not come out. He tried real hard to save that mascot, the Conetoe mascot. And when that building came tumbling down, it was just like that mascot just disappeared. And they searched for several days for that mascot, and they could never find it. He was going to give it to us. Today, the property where Conetoe School was sitting on, they have made it out of a mobile home park. But I spoke with the owner about 45 days ago, and he wanted to know if I wanted to purchase that property. He said, because I remember you out there filming. I was trying to tear that school down. He said, so if you want it, it's up for sale.
I'm John Spencer Jr.'s wife. We was concentrated at Community High School. And during that period of time, after all this tearing down, my husband and I went out and got bricks, and we built a walkway, put around my flowers, and so that is still standing. Those are my patient moments when I walk from my carport down Conetoe brick walk. Thank you.
School was just sitting there idle. I'll never forget, Williams and I forget who else it was, we went out there to try and purchase Conetoe High School. And we talked to the people, and the people saw that we was really interested in what we were doing. And they wouldn't sell it to us. They were not, at that particular time, the entire school was standing. But we wanted to buy all the property. So they wouldn't sell it to us, and then they turned around and tore the school down. That was a heartbreaking day that day, because we had put so much effort in it to go out there and talk with those people and county commissions and whatever. But it was just one of those times when it just wasn't for us. And we accepted that, and we just moved on. But see, God had bigger, better plans for us. Physically, we might sow a building go down, but spiritually in our mind and our heart, it still stands.
Most of us heard that the school was going to be closed. First of all, there were some concerns about that, but of course we understood that here we had an old school, which was a 2-story building, and which the foundation, of course, had become kind of unsteady. And I think in our heart of hearts, we probably knew that this was going to eventually happen, because the old 2-story building was getting quite creaky, and the gymnasium, all components of the school, because of the age of the school. So I think we could perhaps settle on the idea that, okay, this has to be done. I think the regrets were perhaps that maybe another school was not built in that area, another high school was not built in that area, that students would be bused either on the south side of 64 to southwest Edgecombe, and on the north side to north Edgecombe, which made it quite a distance for some kids to travel. But looking back at it and thinking of what might have been done, there may have been several things done to save the building, but it would have been tremendously expensive to do. And at that time, the Alumni Association had not become what it is today. And it is possible that something may have been done. But I think we have the memory of Conetoe in our hearts, and that's what really, really matters.
Back Conetoe, I miss that school. I look over there. It's torn down. I miss this.
Teachers, and that day, the teachers, they took a real interest in the children. And not to say that teachers don't do that today, but they did so with a much greater intensity, looks like. And of course, a lot of that had to do with the parents. Parents have to always be involved with their children, and if parents are involved with the school, they can get better results.
I graduated in 1960, and in my senior year, I was looking forward to a time that Mr. Batts would be my principal and Mrs. Harrison would be my homeroom teacher. But Mr. Batts was called to be the principal of Phillips, and we had to then take on a new principal, Mr. McLean. And even though I didn't like that idea, we were able to, as a class, make the adjustment to our new principal, Mr. McLean. And then to our new homeroom teacher, we also had to make the adjustment. But it goes to show you that we were so prepared at Conetoe High School, being prepared by the teachers and principals here, that we were able to make the adjustment necessary to move on in life. And I think that is so important with our schools back then, is that they not only prepared you for that day, but they also prepared you for the future.
Warren Jones, my husband, wound up teaching there the last year that it was really in operation. I left a couple of 3 years before then, because at the time that I left, I was expecting with our daughter. And interestingly enough, at that time, a teacher who was pregnant was not going to be able to return to the same school in the fall of the year. So when I left in May, I could not return in August. That was just one of those rules of the times. But it just so happened that Warren, my husband, got a job there. He left Pitt County and came to Edgecombe County. And he was there when the school closed.
Yeah, baby.
McDonald.
It's Mr. McDonald. Mr. McDonald was a great man. You know, Mr. McDonald was your daddy away from home. You know, and Miss Patua, she was a great typist. She taught us how to type Maggie Lord. And Miss Mill, Miss Granny, she passed, but she was a great lady also.
Miss Patua, our French lady.
Yeah. We had a great library, and all the guys was great for us, because they sort of brought us a wee bit out of the darkness, so we could see the light of what the future would be like, you know, in years to come. And now the years have come, and we can reflect on those years, how prosperous we were, and where we came from. And we can pass this to our children and our grandchildren.
When Edgecombe County changed its school system, we were so proud of the fact that we went to Conetoe High School. And we wanted an opportunity to purchase the school. But at that particular time, they wouldn't let us do that. But so, to keep hope alive, what we did, we formed an organization where the building was torn down, but the thought and the idea that was in our heart was still alive.
Winston and I was some of the people that first organized the Conetoe High reunion. They had us to stand. It was about 9 of us. It was 9 of us, including Tina Gray. We were the one that actually organized the Conetoe High reunion.
And as a result, it has continued to grow. And it just goes to show that what the school is made of is that even though you may have had a group to start it, now you have a group that have moved it even on to a higher level, to the point that this year we had pretty close to 400 people at the picnic, and over 400 people, pretty close to 420 people at the banquet. This is a magnificent growth, and we are again showing the preparation that the school made, that we have leaders that can continue to lead us to even greater heights.
Really. And from Washington, D.C., we start out with chapters, try to get chapters in various states, sometimes with 2 or 3 states together. So you like to have Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area up in there. And then we started one in New York. I don't know what year exactly, I don't have my paperwork with me, that we actually got started, but there was a year that I was the president myself. I think Levy was the vice president, Doreen was there. They all used to meet at my house, and we were doing very well. We would have functions and things like that, and our bylaws are what we designate a certain amount of money that came to the headquarters, which was in Washington, D.C. at the time. And we did that for 7, 8, 9, 10 years or so.
The local chapter, and to get it going, and we got it going somewhat, and we enjoyed it, and we had a couple functioning so far, and then again, I think that there came some other maybe minor problems, and then I think kind of died out a little bit later on from there. I can't remember exact years that that transpired, but it kind of died out from there, and we didn't actually come back together again until I think about '98, when I think Lewis had a revelation to resurrect the local chapter and get it started and get us going again.
School alumni, I guess to some degree, is about like Jesus Christ, today being the Holy Spirit. And a spirit, you really can't kill it. It might die down for a while, but as someone stated earlier, it'll rekindle. And that's what happened to the alumni. It didn't never sink. It just like a fire. You can throw the graph up on it and it'll rest overnight. Get next morning, turn that graph and it'll blaze right back up. And that's what the alumni has continued to do. And what made the alumni such a success was that when we went into the chapters, when they would put on an event, each chapter would take on a responsibility. And a lot of times what caused confusion when you got people sitting around idle ain't doing that. But the DC chapter would always take on the Saturday night part of it. Each chapter would take on the daytime, the picnic part of it. And then the North Carolina chapter would take on the Sunday worship part of it. And each one, I mean, no one really knew what the other one was doing. We just show up and they would unreveal what the format. And it was some very good times, and as someone stated, you know, we didn't have that much local participation. When I first started going, I probably knew maybe 20 people at the most that was attending. But what fascinated me so much was to see those older classmen. Some of them said they had not seen each other since the day that they walked out of school. And we talking about 40, at that time, something like 40 years. And just see that group come together and have such great fellowship was very inspiring to me. And even today, they still make up the majority of the participation is those older classmen.
Horace Jones facing a class of 1970. And I became president, I think, around 82. And I think the reunion we had was in 84. And I think it was shortly after that we went from having annual reunions to every 2 years. And I think around 86, I think we started going from every year to every 2 years, because I think people had other commitments to have. And I think we used to have it in September as opposed to May. So it's changed from place to place, and it's changed from time. We had, the year I was president, we had it at Robinson School. And we had a get-together at the elementary school, because it was just a few people. A lot of people weren't coming.
One of the things was that we stated that we did not want them to tear the school down. We looked at ways that we could have to have avoided them from tearing the school down, but we did not have the funds to keep that from happening. But we said that although they would tear the school down, we would not allow them to tear our spirits down, nor we would allow them to tear our memories down. And as a result, the Alumni Association was birthed, that it might be able to bring forth memories that we can pass on, the legacy that we can pass on to our children, what the Conetoe High School meant to each one of us.
I want to thank God for blessing me to be president on the alumni. They said when they first started, you were president, what, 2 terms? I think it was 2 terms.
I think it was.
Yeah, and after we ship kind of sank a little bit, and now I've been in the office now 5 terms. And I look at that what's my doing, get me there, and not my doing, keep me there. I thank God for being in charge, keep me on. And I give everything to my Lord and Savior. So I tell you, it had to be God to give us all these people on the committee. Then we do in a meeting and be in a meeting an hour and a half and come out everybody trying to smile and face. about you.
All of us as members of the Conetoe School Alumni Association, to the former administrators, teachers, students, parents, and members of the Conetoe School District, that was number 2. I worked in all 3 of the districts. And I worked my first year at Providence in District 1, and my second school was Robinson, which we organized in 1951. I stayed there until 56, and then went to Willow Grove and organized Willow Grove and stayed to 62, and then went to Raleigh. That was 55 years ago when I organized Robinson. All of those who went to Robinson when I first went there, raise your hands. Oh my, well I know how old you are. And that pushes me on up. That's why if I'm living to see August 16, I will be 79. Principals in this district and in Edgecombe County were my friends. To my knowledge, all the principals that I worked with in Edgecombe County, the last one that I have knowledge of, if anybody else is here still living, let me see you. I don't have knowledge of any other principal living today that was principal when I was at Robinson. If you're here, stand up. You know, somebody, I need to be here tonight. You know, this is what I started out saying, a very lovely occasion. Mr. Batts and Mr. McLean would be so happy to see you looking good and intelligent. And I've heard all the wonderful things you have done since you've been out in life. I knew Mr. Batts well before you knew him. He taught me history in the 8th grade at July School. I love the man. He was like a father, brother to me. He loved people. He wanted to see his people be somebody. And look at you, you are somebody. Oh, how proud he would be. Mr. McLean, I knew him before you knew him. He was at Bricks when I went to Willow Grove. I recommended Mr. McLean to be your principal to Mr. Cleary, Superintendent Cleary. I recommended 3 principals at one time, and they took all of my recommendations. Mr. Cleary wanted to put me at Phillips. I said, please, no. I'm earning my doctorate at Penn State, and I didn't want to be principal of high school. So I begged him, please don't send me to Phillips. He said, well, whom will I send? I said, send Mr. Batts. He wants to be principal at the school. Took him away from me. Said, well, who will I put in his place? I said, McLean would make a better high school principal than elementary principal. So, well, who would I put in Mr. McLean's place at Robinson? I said, Mr. Pitt. And Mr. Cleary did all 3 of those things. Not many times does a boss do everything you tell him.
Taught us the good morals and values. We tried to obey them. Sometimes it would slip, but that's in life. To everyone, I would like to say, it is nice seeing you. Everybody's looking good. Think back 20 years ago. What were you doing? What were you able to do? And to all of you, I'll say, thanks for asking me. God bless you. And it was a pleasure.
To our teachers,
We want to say thank you for the A's, thank you for the B's, thank you for the C's, and thank you for the D's. Since we've been adults, what we did, we took the A's for advancing. We took the B for being bold, standing being bold. We took the C's for being courage. We took the D's for determination. We want to thank you all, and on behalf of the alumni, I have some appreciation plaques to give to our teachers, and I hope we didn't leave anyone out. Mr. Alexander Beatty.
something that all the earth keeps out. Well, I was glad when he said it to us, let us go into the house of God. Let us come to our feet.
Repeat after me. Let the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart, be acceptable in thy sight. O Lord, my strength, my strength, and my redeemer. Let everyone say amen. Amen. We'll see you in 2008.
Jones, in the school, Conetoe High School, 1968. Played on the basketball team. Lee was my coach. And we had some good times in Conetoe playing basketball. Good times of playing. She gave him a tiller, and we beat the tiller both times. That's my favorite moment.
My name is Warren R. Jones, better known as Conetoe Jones. Served I'm a name and change. Graduate of Conetoe High School, class of 1957. And I think my most memorable moment about Conetoe is being able to go back and coach the basketball team.
1965 and us were very close. We were all buddies. We enjoyed everything together. We just had a wonderful time. We got to do some of the first things, I guess, we were the Daredevils during that time. And we really enjoyed ourselves because we had to study just as hard as we played. So those of you who remember classes of 1965 and 1966, hooray!
Graduated in 1960.
Hey, y'all come up in the water.
And my most favorite moment was lunchtime, go out and sit on the doorstep of the church that you still have down at the white church.
My most memorable moment at Conetoe High was the STEM team. And the teacher that I remember the most is
The memories come back when I see all these people that Conetoe that graduated, and it's just a wonderful thing. After all these years, we all come together and unite and have a picnic as we have now. It's so great to be a part of this reunion and Conetoe, the memory of Conetoe. Although the school has been discontinued, but the memory is still here. You can look around all around and see all the people. I think it started from 1940 something to 1970 something, and all the people that still come out to be recognized. It's just a wonderful feeling. It's a wonderful thing, and it just touched my heart to see all these people that come out and support this reunion, support Conetoe, and it's just great. And I just love being a part of it. To God be the glory. We give God all the glory for all of this, because if it weren't for Him, would none of it be what it is today.
And I'm class of 59. I enjoyed everything that I've seen. And some of the guys we had got together Friday night, and class of 59. And I saw some kids that hadn't seen them in 47 years. Well, I say kids, but if you're 47 years old, you would be a kid with me.
I am just so thrilled to look and see so many of my classmates, and certainly people who graduated from Conetoe, and see how well they have done in life. And I know it's been truly a blessing from God. I graduated in the class of 1960, and certainly since that time, God has richly blessed me. I went on to become a brigadier general in the United States Army. Certainly being the son of a sharecropper, that is something that without God, I never could have achieved.
It's really a pleasure for me, and I really enjoy when we have these reunions. I've been a part of it ever since it started, and until I deceased, I guess I take part in it.
Started with two people, but now they are real and families come to the family. And for that time, 1977 or 77 beginning. But just like now, it's like, there are people that I don't even know, people that were there though, but when you get older, you get, names, but faces, you don't know, but the families are here.
I thank God for what's taking place now. The reunions that we have is so enjoyable, and I look forward to coming every year because I meet so many people that have been there, graduated just before a year, 2 years, or whatever. It's beautiful. It's great. This union is awesome.
Can it be that it was all so simple then? All this time I rewritten every line. And if we had the chance to do it all again, the corners of my mind. Misty water-colored memories for the way we were. Of the smiles we left behind, smiles we gave to one another for the way we were. Yeah, and it be that it was all so simple then. Oh, it's time to rewrite every line. And if we had the chance to do it all again, tell me, would we? Could we? Memories may be beautiful and yet what's too painful to remember? I swear to God, if we simply choose to forget, so it's the laughter.
How you doing? My name is Lynn Powell, brother Tim Powell, and my best friend Gary Lynch. We are Shades of Harmony. My mother and father, Leonard and Gaynell Powell. Gaynell, my mother, went to Conetoe High School. His mother, Faustina Lynch, and his father, Curtis Lynch, went to Conetoe High School. Today, we're going to revise the Conetoe High School alma mater. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.